Leopards are shy. Leopards are elusive. You don't get to see leopards every day.
My name is Dr. Nicholas Gofold. I'm a scientist at San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, and I am the principal investigator of Uhifadhi Chui Leopard Conservation in northern Kenya's rangelands. Our program started in 2018, and it covers the counties of Laikipia, Isiolo, and Samburu. When we began the program in 2018, we had two fundamental questions that we were trying to address. The first is population ecology. We wanted to understand the status and abundance of leopards in the country. And the second is human-wildlife conflict. We wanted to try to mitigate instances of livestock conflict that would result in retaliatory killing of leopards.
We do not have numbers of leopards. We don't know the densities of leopards in Kenya. And also we have interest in improving the models that we can use to address leopard densities without really using the very, very expensive methodologies such as using the camera traps.
Since 2018, our program has had a number of successes. For population ecology, we've had a continuous camera trapping grid operating across 400 square kilometers in Laikipia, and that grid now has more than 7,000 observations of leopards.
We have grown in terms of understanding the leopard densities, especially in our core area, that is Loisaba Conservancy and Mpala Research Centre. Every 2.3 kilometers, we have a camera trap station. In Loisaba, we have identified and tracking 35 individual leopards, and we estimate around 40. While in Mpala, currently we have identified at least 20 individual leopards where we estimate population of 30 individual leopards.
We've also seen multi-generations of leopards on our cameras. Just recently at Mpala, we had a cub born from a female who was a cub when we started the project. These multiple sets of generations allow us to understand exactly how well each individual leopard is doing and how well they're reproducing.
How do you identify? How do you set them apart? How do you recognize who is who? Akin to a fingerprint, the leopard patterns or the rosettes are the same. So each leopard have a unique set of rosettes or the fingerprint patterns. And in that way, you can differentiate the leopard using the coat pattern. There is no any two leopards that have similar coat pattern.
For the future of population ecology, we are looking at ways in which we can scale up our research so we can understand leopard populations over a broader scale. Can we use genetic samples that we gather in the environment, whether they be hair or fecals, to identify individuals and therefore count the number of leopards in a given time? To do this, we are working with Mpala Research Centre's laboratories to do whole genome sequencing from DNA that's been collected from leopards. And we'll use that whole genome sequencing to look at specific markers that we can then use to identify individuals.
We have worked closely with the local community, and we employed community reps, and they stay in the villages and they collect the conflict data, human carnivore conflict data. And over the same period, we have recorded over 3,000 cases of human carnivore conflicts. And using the human dimension surveys, we did follow up and work closely with the local community, asking them, how do you address these issues? What is the best method to approach this issue? And through that, we have seen an increase in tolerance in terms of perceptions.
We've also looked at a closer understanding of exactly how these animals move through the human landscape. We put out cameras around bomas and livestock enclosures, and we ran them for 3 years. And from those cameras, we have individual observations of how hyenas and leopards approach bomas at night, which allows us for insight that we've never been able to capture before, but exactly how these animals are moving, navigating this landscape, and how they're actually attacking livestock at the boma. To address these attacks that are occurring at the boma, we worked with 160 different households in the community landscape, and we provided boma reinforcements. So this was in the form of wires and lights that were placed into existing traditional bomas. From following up through the conflict reporting network that we have found that there's a threefold decrease in the number of attacks that those livestock bomas received versus ones that did not have the improvements. We're now working with the communities to make sure that the supply chain is accessible and affordable so that more families can put in these particular improvements into their bomas. One of the future activities that we're very excited about starting in 2025 is a leopard collaring project that we're taking on. In collaboration with our partners at Kenya Wildlife Service and Wildlife Research and Training Institute, we are going to be deploying collars on problem leopards that are living in the region in which we work. The goal of this research is to determine the movement patterns of leopards through the human landscape and exactly how they get into conflict with livestock in all its forms. So this is not just when the livestock are at the boma, but also when the livestock are out grazing during the day. Leopards are tremendously secretive, very shy animals, and so it's very difficult for us to have any other way in which we can determine how they utilize this landscape, and this is where collars will be so effective.